What is the agenda of the Africans that is making us not to unite?
What if I told you that Africa unity is the one thing powerful nations fear the most? For decades, Africa has been rich in land, minerals, oil, and people, yet remain poor. But today, something is changing. Leaders and voices across Africa are speaking one message: unity.
Et que nous ne pouvons compter sur personne. Il faut compter sur soi-même.
Descendants of the formerly enslaved who are here to complete the journey of return on behalf of their ancestors.
People are getting tired, they are getting poorer, their leaders are getting richer.
Let's work together to build the African continent.
What is the agenda of the Africans that is making us not to unite?
When Africa is divided, it is easier to control. But when Africa speaks one voice, it becomes unstoppable. And that is why Africa unity is not just an African issue, it is a global one. In Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré represents a new generation of African leadership. Young, bold, fearless. He speaks directly against exploitation and foreign control.
En plus de cela, les ressources minières que nous allons exploiter par nous-mêmes maintenant doivent permettre en 2026 de faire un bond considérable en matière de PIB pour que le Burkina Faso puisse, dans un laps de temps, devenir une économie émergente à travers le monde. Ne permettra à qui que ce soit, aucune puissance, de pouvoir nous imposer ce qu'elle souhaite. Voilà pourquoi nous devons continuer partout où nous sommes à faire en sorte que le drapeau du Burkina Faso flotte avec dignité. Et ceci pour m'adresser à la diaspora que je félicite pour ses actes patriotiques qui continuent de faire rayonner l'image du Burkina Faso à l'extérieur, de continuer à rester patriotique et intègre. Parce que lorsqu'on parle du Burkinabé, nous devons entendre l'homme intègre, l'homme digne, et c'est ce que nous voulons au niveau de la diaspora. Et les encourager à travers donc l'organisation au niveau du Haut Conseil de Burkinabé de l'extérieur à revenir investir au Burkina Faso leur patrie. Et nous leur ouvrons les portes et nous allons mettre tous les mécanismes en place pour qu'ils puissent revenir et investir de façon sécurisée. Au niveau confédéral, le Burkina Faso poursuit sa contribution au niveau de notre espace commun qu'est l'AES. 2025 a été une année où on nous a confié une lourde responsabilité de conduire la destinée de la Confédération. Nous avons pris cette responsabilité et nous avons promis de faire en sorte que l'AES rayonne.
His message is simple. Africa must stand on its own feet, economically, politically, and mentally. Julius Malema has often said that Africa's biggest weakness is not poverty, but division. He speaks openly about Africans hating each other while benefiting outsiders.
Africans are hated everywhere, so we too cannot afford to hate Africans. Black people are hated everywhere. When you see a black person, see yourself. When you see a black person, say, my brother, my sister, let's work together to build the African continent. You hate Africans, but you don't hate the Chinese. You always say the Africans.
Malema believes that once Africans learn to love themselves and each other, the system that exploits Africa will collapse.
We must never allow the same United States, which is furious at being cut off from the riches of Burkina Faso, cannot tell us what to do. We stand with Captain Traoré. We stand with Traoré because we know that Traoré stands for the unity of Africa. We are Traoré, and Traoré is all of us. We must defend him the same way we defend the unity of Africa.
A united Africa would control its resources. A united Africa would trade on its own terms. A united Africa would no longer beg.
We need a continent with one currency. We need a continent with one parliament. And ultimately, we need one African president. We need United States of Africa. We supported and we continue to support those ideals of brother leader Gaddafi. This thing was the one thing called Africa. It was divided by colonizers. Let us go back to African unity. We must stop doing away with African hate.
This will change global power forever, and not everyone is comfortable with that. Africa's division did not happen by accident. In 1884, powerful nations met in Berlin and divided Africa without African present. These borders we fight over today were designed to keep us divided. Thinkers like Professor PLO Lumumba and Joshua Maponga remind us that unity is not just political, it is mental.
What is the agenda of the Africans that is making us not to unite? And what kind of an agenda must we create so that we can find a reason for ourselves to unite? Because it profited the Southern Hemisphere to have Cecil John Rhodes consolidate the kingdoms and the countries of the South to formulate the British Empire and extend it. So it just I cannot process it in my head that black people will only find a reason of division. So who will rule amongst us? Will it be a Tswana? Will it be a Short?
Before Africa can unite physically, it must unite in mindset.
When our continent is abused by other civilizations, I feel sad. But for how long shall we merely feel sad? For how long shall we lament? For how long shall we mourn? For how long shall we agonize? For how long? This is why I understand the economic freedom fighters. This is why I'm here with you to celebrate your 10th anniversary. This is why I think you are doing the right thing. Because 10 years ago you made the correct diagnosis. You made the correct diagnosis. You discovered that they gave us the crown without the jewels. You discovered that they gave us an empty vessel. You discovered that political freedom in and of itself is empty. You discovered that you cannot endow yourself by the bootstraps. You recognize that. You discovered that we must rediscover ourselves, that we must re-educate ourselves. You discovered and gave meaning to those famous words of the great Nigerian singer Femi Anikulapo Kuti when he said, "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense because we have been taught nonsense for too long." You discovered and said it as he did Carter G. Woodson in 1933 that we had been miseducated for too long and that we ought to re-educate ourselves. You discovered with my countryman Ngugi wa Thiong'o that we must decolonize our minds. You discovered with Chinua Achebe that we have been divided and things are falling apart. That is why we will continue to talk, but we will also act. So we are here today, that there may be a wedding between our words and actions. Here in South Africa, there are many doubting Thomases. Oh, but they are reducing by the number. They are reducing because when they watch the EFF in the National Assembly of South Africa, they are reducing by the number.
This message is not only for Africans on the continent. It is for all Africans in the UK, the USA, the Caribbean, and across the world. African unity is global, and the future is being written now. The question is no longer if Africa will rise. The question is when and who will stand together. If you believe in African unity, like this video, share it, and subscribe for more truth.